To try to put all this in perspective, I'd like to call upon Dr. Lance DeHaven Smith. He's professor in the School of Public Administration and Policy at Florida State, a former president of the Florida Political Science Association. Dr. DeHaven Smith is the author of over a dozen books on topics ranging from religion and political philosophy to American government and politics. In 2006, peer-reviewed journal article, Dr. Haven coined the term state crimes against democracy to delineate a crime category for Watergate, Iran-Contra, Flamegate, and similar conspiracies in high office. Dr. DeHaven Smith's scholarship is nationally recognized. He has appeared on Good Morning America, Today Show, NBC, News with Tom Brokaw, CBS Nightly News with Dan Rather, Jim Lehrer, the News Hour, and other national TV and radio shows. Oh, there you are.
I'll keep this very brief. I know y'all are worn out. I have a copy of the Gravel Pentagon Papers, by the way. I wish I'd been and I'd also like to thank Dick Gregory. You know, the Zapruder film that showed Kennedy's assassination was kept from the American people until 1975. And it was shown, Dick Gregory brought it to the Geraldo Rivera show, and it was shown, and that's what led to the reinvestigation of that assassination. I got interested in studying elite political criminality because there is such a thing. We know there's Watergate, Iran-Contra, Gulf of Tonkin. So I coined this term, SCADs, State Crimes Against Democracy, to define this category so that we could study it and also single it out for condemnation and special penalties. You can go on. So I had this definition. The reason I wanted to study it, one is to get away from the idea of conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory as a category makes no sense at all. First of all, you have conspiracies. We know we have them. Watergate was a very far-flung one. And so when they're true, what's wrong with the theorizing about that? So to condemn speculation about elite criminality is ridiculous. We know it exists. I think we need to return to the founders' ideas about elite behavior. They were very concerned about high crimes and treason. They insisted that everybody who holds office swear an oath. If you look at the Declaration of Independence, I urge you to read that in entirety, not just the first part about inalienable rights, but the rest of it, because what it is a theory that George was conspiring, King George, conspiring against the colonies to put them into, subject them to tyranny. So the Declaration of Independence is a conspiracy theory. It's at the heart of our founding country. There's nothing wrong whatsoever about suspecting elites. That's our job, basically. We should all, as citizens, be vigilant. The other thing about studying this category is if you look across all the events that have menaced our politics since World War II, you see some peculiar and suggestive similarities. Take a look at the assassinations, for example. If this is a bunch of lone gunmen shooting people, there's no Supreme Court justices attacked, there's no House members attacked, it's only presidents, it's only senators if they're running for president, or if the Senate is evenly divided. Patrick Leahy, Tom Daschle had an attack on their lives with anthrax. My advice to you is don't fly with U.S. senators when the Senate is evenly divided. It's a dangerous thing. If you look at the scandals that we know about, they center on wars, they lead to wars, there's usually a financial component to them, They also happen in bundles. They're not isolated events. Kennedy gets shot, then Oswald gets shot. Then Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, George Wallace. It happens in sprees. And 9/11 was no different. 9/11 was followed by the anthrax mailing. And we still don't understand that. We may think we caught the guy, and by the way, the official position is it's an inside job, an internal person. But what's unexplained is where did he get the silicon in the coating of it? It was weaponized. At least that's what they said initially. So you've got these very inexplicable things. Last slide. Last thing I wanted to mention, we are expected to not believe our own eyes. That's what the government asks of us. That's what the media asks when they tell us don't be speculating about conspiracies. You watch that film of the collapse of the buildings over and over. You can see it with your own eyes. When the Kennedy assassination film came out that Mr. Gregory brought, it was impossible to disagree that these people were shot from more than one direction, and that there were at least 3 shots into the car that hit, and we knew there was a 4th one. What the government does is develop a lot of tendentious, complicated theories to explain away the stuff that we can see with our own eyes. So I encourage you, as vigilant citizens, to follow up on this. I think the panel was great, and this is the kind of evidence that we need to reopen this issue.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry because of time we won't have time for any additional questions, but let me further underscore what the good doctor has said, and that is that we can talk about the government does this. Well, the government's made up of individuals. Somebody must be held accountable for what happens if it doesn't add up. And one of the things that this tremendous amount of work that's been done by this group of architects and engineers is they're laying the groundwork where this is not going to die. Believe me, this is going to be investigated. Maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe 10 years. It will be investigated. There's too much unknown. But the tragedy is that particularly like with our vice president's got a bad heart, he may not live long enough to be incarcerated and tried for the criminality that he's performed in high office along with the president. And so let me point out to you that our democracy can only be saved by the actions of people and individuals like this who step forward and do the homework and force it on to government and not government individuals within government who must be accountable. That is the only way our democracy will survive. And thank you for your attention, and thank you for being here. Thank you. This is pretty. This is pretty.